So this year marks my 3-year anniversary working as an entrepreneur on my own business, and also almost 2 years on this YouTube channel. Now, while I definitely don't know everything to do with running your own business, and I'm definitely not the most successful entrepreneur out there, I've learned so much from naturally pouring thousands of hours into elite football and growing that to 25,000 followers on Instagram, and Connor and Alan and growing that to almost 5,000 on YouTube. Now, while those aren't the biggest numbers, they're definitely not the worst I've seen for the early stages of a business. And they're both at a point now where they're comfortably sustaining my lifestyle. So with a bit of a humble brag, so you guys get a bit more context, I quit my day job over a year ago. And actually anything Connor and I do with this business has actually sustained my lifestyle for the past year. Meaning anything extra I do on elite football is, well, just extra. So I wanted to make this video because I did reminisce and I did look at the last 3 years and how much I've grown as a business owner and how much that's shaped me to be the person I am today. And I thought about all the main takeaways that I've had in these last 3 years as a small business owner. So here are things I think you should avoid doing when starting your own business, and also some things that you should keep in mind within the early stages of your business. Now, this first one is very near and dear to my heart, and that is, don't try to be someone you're not. See, too many times I see people who have their own particular set of skills and interests forget about what they actually enjoy doing and what they would actually enjoy doing as a business, because they close themselves down thinking that there is no possible way to monetize exactly what they would like to do. So instead, they fall into this trap of trying to emulate someone else's business because they may have already seen this other person already make money with it, or maybe they think because they see someone else doing this thing that they can also do it. Now, the reason this bothers me so much is the more time I spend in business, I think the more I realize that you can be successful doing anything you want to do. You will eventually figure out a way to monetize whatever it is that you want to be doing every day. So don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Figure out what you want to do, and eventually you'll figure out a way to either provide value for a client or a viewer, and as you go along you'll also figure out the way to monetize it, especially considering that it's not easy to start your own business. And it takes 3 to 4 years for the average business to actually start making money. So when the times are tough and you don't have that motivation of money actually coming in, you'll have more of a chance to push through and actually survive when it's something you love doing that doesn't even feel like work. See, when it came to football, I spent a year traveling Europe, trialing for different clubs, and really building the knowledge of exactly how football clubs work. And obviously, naturally, that is one of my passions. And with YouTube, well, this isn't actually the first YouTube channel Connor and I have done together. We've always had a passion for filmmaking and creating content, and we started naturally learning about editing and making videos since we were like 12 years old.
What is up, guys? Don't answer that. Alan here, bringing you the introduction of our newly made channel.
Hey guys, like Alan said before, by the way, I'm Connor.
Now, while none of you are ever going to find those videos on YouTube, all that time has led us to this channel. On top of that, by staying in your own lane, you actually will be able to provide more value for your consumer, because you genuinely tend to be more knowledgeable and have more enthusiasm on what you're actually doing. Now, that's not to say that if you're not particularly passionate about the business that you want to start up, that you're not going to succeed. Of course, you can still succeed in doing something you don't enjoy doing, but what's the point of working more hours if theoretically you're going to be leaving your job to eventually be unhappy in the long term? The only difference is you're working for yourself. You have got to be a jack of all trades. See, something they don't tell you when you start your own business is that you need to be a jack of all trades. If you don't have the money to pour into your business, get the videography done, to get your website done, to get the Instagram up and running, to get your SEO done properly, there is so many things that you're going to encounter in those early years of your business that will cost you thousands of dollars. If you don't have that type of money to pour into your business, well, you're gonna just have to learn how to do it all. Because whether it's a service-based business or a product-based business, it's gonna need to have an online presence, and anything online, you're gonna need to have all these basic skills. So realistically, YouTube is going to be your best friend because you're gonna be watching every how-to video under the sun. And see, I almost prefer going the route of actually doing all the work yourself for the first couple of years, because it is the perfect way for you to get your business up and running without having to pour thousands of dollars into it. And it's gonna be a necessity. You're going to need to be able to do everything all the time, and it will get easier as you go along, just like everything does. But if you have money to burn and you're willing to just pay everyone, invest $15,000, $20,000 into getting your business up and running, then go for it. Personally, that's not a risk I would take. I think if you put enough work in, that you could start a business with only a few $1,000s invested and just a lot of your time. Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't swap lives with. It seems to be the case that as soon as you start venturing out and starting your own business, suddenly everyone else around you becomes an expert and are always throwing out their opinions when they're not needed. Now, it's not to say that every single person's opinion is not going to be valid just because it's your business, but you will need to stop caring about the majority of people's opinions, and you will need to learn to stop seeking validation. But it goes both ways. Not only do you need to shut out negative opinions that people around you have, but you also need to shut out the positive opinions, especially with the people closer around you. When it comes to your friends and family, hopefully if you have a good group of friends and nice family members, they'll probably try to encourage you as much as possible. And sometimes that support isn't actually what you need. But likewise, if you don't have a supportive group of friends and you don't have a supportive group of family, you'll also need to shut that down as well, because they probably don't share your vision, nor do they have any business expertise. So just like when the market is down, but you keep investing because you know that index fund will eventually return high, you need to have the same mindset for your business. Most people only believe it when they see it. So you need to put in those hours and help your vision come to life. Because eventually, with enough time and dedication, you'll figure out something successful, and all those people that said you shouldn't get started in whatever it was you wanted to do will completely flip their minds once they see it. So my advice would be to stay humble and listen to everyone's opinions, and just internally make up your mind on whether you want to take it on board or not. Something I see way too much around the scenes, and something that I personally suffered with, the denial that is trying to make everything perfect. Lucky for me, I had my father to mentor me, having already had successful businesses in the past. He definitely cut out that habit early on. So you don't need the perfect Insta handle, you don't need the perfect website, you don't need to pour $15,000 into a startup that you have no idea if it's gonna go well or not. You don't need to spend 2 days on an Instagram post. You don't need to have the perfect design of your product or your service before opening it up to the public. You need to just do. Because more likely than not, the service that you have in mind or the product you have in mind is gonna change 10 times before you figure out the winning formula. And the only way to figure out that winning formula is if you just do. If you start to sell, if you get that feedback from the market, then you'll be better for it. It's already hard enough to stay focused on your small business, and if you don't have incoming sales or that feedback from clients, you're gonna struggle to stay motivated, and chances are you're probably just gonna give up on the dream after 6 months. I've seen it happen countless of times with people close to me. Once you're up and running, you will build yourself into a routine of having to perform. Whether it's service or product based, it will motivate you to continue to work on your baby without losing motivation. Now, next up is be careful who you go into business with. So this one hits a bit close to home because I co-own a company and also co-own a partnership. So I know exactly what it's like to work with another person and the challenges that come with it. Now, while there are positives, there definitely are a lot of negatives, and you have to almost view it as a marriage in a sense. If you don't think you could marry the person you're going into business with, then you probably shouldn't be going into business with them. Now, not in an emotional sense, but more of a practicality. See, for example, Connor and I have always had a desire to start a business together. And while we've been best friends for over a decade, we've always encouraged each other to be better and almost do more in a business sense. So in a way, even when we were very young, we were always trying to have fun but make money together. We've never had a problem communicating, and we've always been able to be fully honest with each other in order to improve the business and also stay very close friends. Something I think is very unique the more I look around. Now, it definitely isn't all upsides. While I enjoy working with my best friend all the time and also my father, it can be hard to differentiate time spent together. Because we enjoy what we do so much, within both my relationships and the business, 90% of the time that I spend with Connor or my dad tends to be work related. So while it can be awesome to look back and realize that all this time spent working, you're doing it with people you love, sometimes you take a step back and realize that your relationship kind of leans heavy work related. So that's something to think about if you're going in with people you care about, which is why personally I would never go into a business with your significant other. Now, while I think Connor is my soulmate, I do think it's important to differentiate your personal relationships with work. And I think if you're working together with someone you care about in a partner, it is very hard to do so. And it does take two very special people to be able to do it effectively. For example, with Connor's permission, he allowed me to tell the story of his own experience where before starting Your Compass, he started another business with his ex-girlfriend. Now, what seemed like a good idea at the time, he poured a lot of money into it. They both did in creating, I think, what was a bikini brand, but because they were tied together, when they eventually had their falling out, so did the business. Well, I'm sure Connor learned so much from that experience. Letting you guys know about it may actually help stop you from starting a business with your significant other. Now, to finish off, what to me is the most important bit of advice I can give is to stay consistent. The reality of venturing out by yourself is that no one will be telling you what to do anymore. Now, I'll tell you what, it's harder to think about what you need to do and in what way to achieve it than it is taking orders. See, no one really tells you that part. And the sad reality that comes with it is that as a society, we've almost built up entrepreneurship as this sort of only successful path anyone can take. Now, while there's a lot of benefits to being your own boss and doing your own thing, no one really seems to talk about the negative. And realistically, not everyone is built to go out and venture on their own, nor is it a lifestyle I think most people actually want. See, when I talk to a lot of people and they tend to talk about business and we get into those topics, the majority of people are searching for financial freedom. And I think they forget the cost of being financially free. Like I said, while there is a lot of benefits to starting your own thing and being your own boss, and the scalability of it is endless compared to working for someone else. When you work for someone else, you can start your day at 8 o'clock and clock off at 5 or whatever the time may be, work Monday to Friday, have your weekends off, and as soon as you clock off, you completely forget about your job. You can live your life completely free of worries because most jobs, not all jobs, you don't need to take the work home with you. They don't tell you about starting your own business is that while eventually, maybe you'll achieve financial freedom, you will be working 24/7. If it's something you love doing and you're passionate about and you have the desire to be successful like most of us do, you will be thinking 24/7. You will never stop and it'll be impossible to shut it off. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about how it's all about time management and what you do, but I think for those of us that put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be successful and to grow with what we love doing, you can never really shut it off. Now, I know this last point is very heavily opinionated, but I just feel like it's not said enough around the community. But instead we tend to glorify entrepreneurship. And I don't think it's suitable for everyone, which is why my last point, I think it's so important to choose something that you love doing, because if you love what you do, then working those hours won't actually feel like work. But in order to grow, you need to stay consistent. And most people tend to want everything done quickly, and I fall under this trap all the time as well. I want things to be done in a year that will probably take 3, and so on. The way I stay motivated and the way I look at things is Messi and Ronaldo didn't become the best footballers in the world overnight. They didn't do it in a year, they didn't do it in 5. It took them well over 2 decades to be at the place that they are today. And I think if you're starting your own business or trying to venture out on your own, whatever you're doing, you need to see it as a marathon and not a sprint. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Before you click away, consider subscribing. It helps us out a lot and it doesn't cost you anything.